I get set up, got the shooting sticks all set up, got my pistol set up. And sure enough, this buck is up on the ridge on the other side. He's walking back and forth. Well, my heart was beating so fast I couldn't hardly control myself. You know, this very likely could be my biggest whitetail I've ever taken.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Thompson Center, America's master gun maker. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter. The Buck Bomb blows away traditional scents. Bad Boy Buggies, they'll never hear you coming. And by Remote Locations, Secrets of Making Outdoor TV, a 150-page full-color book from Orion Multimedia. Order by phone 1-800-850-9453.
Mr. Whitetail Larry Weishuhn and Oak Creek Whitetail Ranch guide Barry Hendricks, this episode of Winchester World of Whitetail will be about covering the ground, searching for what could turn out to be a buck of a lifetime.
One of the beauties of this particular property is there's great habitat. I mean, there is understory everywhere, tall grass, tall bushes. In this particular instance, in coming to Oak Creek Whitetails, I knew a little bit about the operation. I'd met Donald Hill, knew a little bit about what his operation was like, knew something about the quality of deer. When it came right down to it, I was hoping to take just a really good, mature whitetail deer. One that was maybe a 10-point, something in the 150s, 160 class kind of deer, because that's pretty typical of what you find in a lot of areas of well-managed places in Missouri where I've hunted in the past.
Where Weishuhn's hunting is in Missouri, in the central part of the state. Oak Creek Whitetail Ranch lies near the Gasconade River, a tributary of the wide Missouri. The ranch is 1,800 acres of rolling fields and hardwoods, making for ideal deer habitat.
We've been intensively managing whitetail deer since 1992, just trying to get the biggest, prettiest, big framey deer that we could possibly get on the property.
We do a lot of spotting and stalking. We do get aggressive at times with horns. We just don't go sit in a stand and hope that luck walks by us.
From long experience, Weishuhn knows that in this kind of cover he may find himself in a situation that calls for a rifle instead of his pistol. So before he heads out to hunt, he needs to know that both are dead on.
I set this hunt up as a pistol hunt. I've been working with Nikon on a new scope, the new Encore pistol scope, or long eye relief scope, and so essentially the whole hunt was set up as a pistol hunt. Sometimes there are situations when you're hunting in dense woods, particularly shooting a pistol, getting on an animal very quickly is quite difficult. And I didn't know for sure what was going to happen. I said, Barry, do you mind carrying my Icon rifle? It's in a 270. If we get in a situation where I just feel totally uncomfortable about taking a shot with that pistol and it's a deer that we really want to take, I want to be able to switch over to that rifle very quickly. Something I've done for many, many years. I dearly love to rattle, and this is an excellent time. We're hunting under particular circumstances where we can hunt right before the rut here in Missouri. We got set up in another spot, and it's fairly windy that day. And you really don't know how far those deer can hear you in these, because I mean, the leaves are making all kinds of noise, and finally the wind dies down just a little bit. And I am grinding the horns together, and I am doing everything I know to try to get that buck to respond. And here comes a buck.
That's a super buck right there.
Now, he didn't come charging in like I wanted him to, but he was an absolute tall monster, at least 10 points. He walks out there meaning behind all kinds of brush, stops in one spot, and I can see from about here on up. I mean, I can see those old big antlers. He stood there for a long time, and I tried grunting. I tried rattling. I tried everything I could to get him to come down that little draw toward us where we could get a better look at him and possibly get a shot. As is so often the case when you're dealing with big, mature white-tailed deer, they're extremely wary, very, very cautious. And that's what this buck was. He just came in, looked. Next thing you know, he totally disappeared.
No matter how natural Weishuhn's rattling sounds to us, it doesn't seem to be having the desired effect on the deer. The best he seems to be able to do is to draw in a few spikes and needleheads. The big boys wearing the rocking chairs are apparently not buying it today.
That's a good buck right there, Larry. Come on, come on, he's gonna cross this open. Okay.
He's walking. Oh, God.
Oh, he's going on up the hill. He's going on up the hill.
Larry Weishuhn's on the hunt for a trophy whitetail on Oak Creek Ranch in the woods of central Missouri. But his favorite technique of rattling a buck in isn't producing. While Larry continues to sift through the thick Missouri cover, let's take a look at some of the keys to growing monster deer in the first place. You are what you eat, and so are deer. Weishuhn's lifetime of experience as a hunter, biologist, and deer manager has taught him that one of the key factors in growing big bucks is feeding them the right stuff, as dictated by the habitat.
One of the ways to produce a better deer herd is to increase that nutrition within that deer herd. You can bring the population down to what that habitat can support, but maybe it's not enough deer to produce that you're going to be able to utilize. So one of the things you might want to look at is doing some supplementation, either in terms of planting food plots or in terms of supplemental feed. Food plots are absolutely great. I mean, we've got so many different great types of forages out there today that are available through like Wild Game Innovations or Evolved Habitat and maybe a few other places, but you know, food plots in certain situations really don't work very well. In parts of Texas where I've managed deer where you've got a rock wall, I mean, basically that's what you're dealing with is rocks. There's no topsoil, maybe very little moisture. So in those particular situations, if you're trying to improve that deer herd through nutrition, one of the things you might want to take a serious look at is supplemental feeding. Now there are those that say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you'd supplementally feed a ration. It really makes no difference. It's an agricultural product. Nutrition, regardless of how you accomplish it, whether you do it through food plots, if you've got topsoil and water, or if you don't through supplemental feeding, that's one of the ways that you can produce a bigger, better, and a higher quality deer herd.
For more Larry's management tips, go to versuscountry.com. The deer are here on Oak Creek Ranch in Missouri. But so far, the action on big bucks has been slow to glacial for Weishuhn and guide Barry Hendricks.
Barry and I had been hunting for at least 2 days, but we're easing down, walking just on the inside of the brush where we can kind of keep an eye on, we have a little open area right there.
That's a good buck right there, Larry.
I can see just part of his body.
he's going to cross this open.
All of a sudden we see this buck off in the bottom over there, and I mean, you could tell immediately he had a really good set of antlers.
Right here. Right here. Get him right here. Okay, here. You on him?
He's walking, he's walking. Oh, God. He stayed down there. We watched him you couldn't see him. I mean, you could hear him make it scrape. You could hear him pawing the ground, all that kind of stuff, but he was behind a total screening of brush back there. No, I want to get a shot of him walking like that.
That's all right. Let's just see what he does.
Okay.
Oh, he's going on up the hill. He's going on up the hill. He's going to go up there, cross over the top of that ridge.
Now, I knew the buck was big, but I forced myself not really to look at the antlers. I could tell immediately he was a great big buck, and after that, it was, let's try to find a spot that I can hit this deer with this pistol. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. Oh, man. That's a big old deer. What do you think we ought to do?
He's pretty calm, so I think we need to back out of here. Try to go around and get in front of him. We'll set up, let you hit your horns together.
Oh, like that. Let's try that.
He's looking for some action. That's an awesome deer though, buddy.
The big buck's on the move, and Weishuhn and Hendricks do their best to maneuver ahead of him. In the process, they spot lots of decent deer, but not the deer, which means it's time to hang it up for now and to head back to the ranch for some strategy and nourishment.
The lodge at Oak Creek is also the family home for Donald and Angie.
Garlic bread's on the table. What do you want to drink?
Really a homey situation, and I mean that in a very respectful manner of home. You feel like you're part of the family when you're there, which is something that, you know, you do a few other places, but this place in particular, and then the fact that you've got one of the finest cooks in the world as far as I'm concerned, that cooks the way I like to eat, good old country cooking. But when you combine the lodge with the comfortable feeling that's there, the family feeling that's there, and also the fact that the meals are just out of this world. I mean, you talk about an absolutely great situation to hunt in. A place you'd want to come and just spend time whether you were hunting or not.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Still right there in front.
Yeah, you see him?
Yeah, I'm on him.
Okay.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter. The Buck Bomb blows away traditional scents. Bad Boy Buggies, they'll never hear you coming. And by Wild Game Innovations, nutrition, attraction, and action.
Guide Barry Hendricks of Missouri's Oak Creek Ranch and Larry Weishuhn have been hunting for an exceptional whitetail buck. But so far, Mr. Big has given Mr. Whitetail the slip. Now, Hendricks has a plan he hopes will put Weishuhn in the right place at the right time when the deer decides to show itself.
This is that old road I was telling you about a while ago. We got some cedars here behind it, big thicket. On the other side of that, we got a green field. So let's head up this road, sneak up through here and sit down, maybe do a little rattling.
Okay.
And then we got that green field to back up. So.
Yeah, you know they're going to be coming there late this afternoon to eat. I'm just right behind you.
All right, let's do that.
So it was almost a perfect situation. His idea was, is this buck that we'd gotten on, in all likelihood, he was headed in that direction where we're going to set up. So we eased along real slowly down this old pasture road. He's looking like this, and he goes, Larry, I think that buck's out there. So hurriedly, I took off my pack, got my shooting stick set up, and sure enough, this buck is up on the ridge on the other side. He's walking back and forth. There's a doe there, there's another buck there. I get set up, got the shooting sticks all set up, got my pistol set up. I look, there's brush in front of me, right in front of me.
Oh God, I'm going to move. There's stuff right in front of me.
And here's this absolute monster buck walking broadside. It looks like Aunt Jane's picket fence, by golly, sticking on top of his head.
You got it.
I think I hit him pretty hard though.
Yeah, you hit him real hard.
Boy, that is a monster. That sucker's like this.
Good job.
Like this.
Good job.
Thank you.
That is an awesome deer, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Tell you what, we got a little bit of light left. We're gonna have to get down there and find him before it gets dark.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gracious.
He's got actually 12 plus a kicker right there for 13. He does. He's got good beams. He's got width. He's got mass. He's got tie length.
He's even handsome. He has got a gorgeous cape.
I like the thickness of all his points, his tines. There's no spindly tines. They're all thick.
I mean, even this little one here is thick. He just carries the same mass all the way. Actually gets heavier probably up in here on this third or fourth measurement.
Yep. This will be a good one right here.
This is a good, this is
They're all going to be good.
This isn't a good deer. I'll be honest, this isn't a good deer. This is a great deer. This is heavy, this is wide, this is long.
Very what a deer. That's one that was on and on, dude. You can go on.
Oh man, and I will.
I tell you what, that is a super deer.
You know, as much as I want to sit here and admire this deer and I don't want to leave him, we're going to have to get him back to camp.
This fantastic deer is a real prize for Weishuhn. But even now, the excitement of the hunt's about to increase as he takes the measure of the antlers.
Actually, he's going to be 24 7/8 inside. 8 even on that one. That deer scores 206/8. I had no idea. I knew it was a good deer. I would have guessed maybe in the 190s, but that was one of those hopeful wishing things, and when he came up with 200, I could not hardly believe it. What an absolutely great deer. Biggest deer I've ever shot.
Is it the prettiest deer you ever shot?
Oh yeah.
Good. That's what I like.
No doubt. I mean,
that score means a lot, but that look means more to me.
I like the look, but I like that total amount of inches that's there. Tell me, look at that. Golly. What a great way to cap off a hunt that was a hard hunt, a really hard hunt. A lot of walking, a lot of sitting, a lot of rattling, all those kind of things. Everything you do to try to take a good deer, and then finally get in that situation. You talk about great memories. Every time I look at that mount, I'm gonna think about all the different things that went on about the hunt, the time I got to spend with Barry, the time I got to spend with Don and his family. You know, what an absolute great, great hunt.
It really made me feel good as a guide to be a part of that hunt, and it's a hunt that I'll never forget, and I hope Larry never forgets, and I guess we'll just try to top it next year.